If you're anything like me, then home isn't only where the heart is, but it's also where your plants are. So with our big move, it means we've got some decisions to make, and that is what stays and what do we dig up and take with us. Now we've been here longer than we were actually going to be here, so we've just hit 5 years. And you can imagine over that period you accumulate a lot of plants, and many of which we don't want to get rid of. But at the same point, you don't want to ransack your garden because we want buyers coming in to see a nice patch that we've created. However, there are many things that probably people won't want in our garden. For instance, we basically have the farm and most people just want a nice lawn and some plants, so I can go a little bit further with my ransacking than I normally would. The fence is also, as you can see, pretty derelict, and they're probably going to want to redo that at some point too, so I don't mind about pulling so many plants out. I've also got two major things in my favour, in that A, it's winter, so it's much better to move the majority of plants during this time of year because they are not only dormant and they're not actively growing, but you don't have to water them so much. So if you're popping them into pots, once you've pushed all the soil down and given them a quick rinsing, you don't need to water them every day because they're not going to dry out. The other thing is we have the land already, so it's not like we are moving somewhere where we don't have anywhere to put the plants yet. We can pop our plants here and then move them up to the farm and just leave them in a nice quiet shady corner that's going to stay moist until spring, when we can work out what to do with them. So I've actually already begun with my plan, and this patch had loads of heucheras in it. There was some rose campion, and there was a smoke bush here, a black elderberry, and then a couple of thornless blackberries as well. And I've dug them out. These wallflowers were actually growing, they were self-seeded and they were growing into the path. So I've dug those up and put them in here. And my plan is, over the next couple of months, to go and raid places like B&Q, Wilkinson's, and just get loads of cheap plug plants and pop them in there. So primroses, violets, pansies, things like that. Just so that when buyers come into the garden, they just see kind of a pretty little spring garden. I've started to pot everything up here, so you can see here's my heucheras. And I did take a load of cuttings, so if you are interested in taking heuchera cuttings and you don't know how, then look up here and I'll put a link in for my video. These are the thornless blackcurrants, blackberries rather. I've got some rose campion, some ophiopogon, a little tiny creeping conifer, and then up here some geums and some primroses, euphorbias and things like that. So that's my plan. So I'm going to carry on down here and dig out some more of this stuff. These rose campions come up with such a smallest root ball, which is great because it makes potting them on really easy. On all three of these pieces, so this one plant we've got 3 little baby plants. Things like these daffodils, which are now just starting to poke through, I'm leaving. I will take them with me because I've spent a lot of money on white daffodils, but we're not realistically leaving till May. So I will let these come up, flower, and then I will dig these up and take them. I'm also going to take some of these violets. Now these are wild violets, they're very pretty and we have got loads at the farm, but they are also just starting to flower. So again, I'm going to leave these in place, and then just before we go, I'll just take a couple of clumps. forgot this penstemon. Well, it doesn't take very long to clear, and it didn't seem like there were that many plants in there, but actually there's quite a little haul here. So most of them are these rose campion. There's some little tansy plants that I began last year. I always forget what this is. I can never remember. It's the most common plant. It's fantastic. I can just never remember its name. There's another little conifer. It's there we go, Juniperus communis gold shats. There's the salvia plants, penstemon, and a couple of other things as well. So I need to go and pop those on and give them a good water and get them ready for the move. So that is my gardening plans for the next couple of weeks, just working my way through all of the beds, picking out all the stuff that I want to take, and potting it on. I've got to tackle this bed over the back of me. That's got some big plants, and I'm taking that New Zealand flax with me because it's a beautiful specimen. I could wait till later in the year to dig them out and pot them on, because obviously I'm not moving next week, but it is better to do it now that it's winter and it's cold and the roots have time to settle in the pots. If I wanted to do it in the spring, I would just have to water them a lot more to keep them all alive. So I'm just gonna run through the garden, do it all, and get it all done ASAP. As I'm sitting here, I've just realised that the walnut beside me has started to get a few buds. You can tell that is why, and how mild it is. They're already getting buds on this brand new walnut tree that is going to be in at the nuttery. And actually both of them, there's more here, look, both plants are getting, can I get you in focus? Yes, both plants are getting the little buds on them. So I need to get these up at the farm soon. So I hope that's kind of updated you on what we're doing here in our garden and the plans for moving. If you've liked the video, please hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing. If you're on Facebook, join us at Brimwood Farm's community group. But for now, I've got loads more plants to pop up, so I shall see you again very soon. Bye bye.